Hello, gamers, and welcome to day one of Stormbreak presented by MullowayIT. We are going to begin with winners round one. I am Cater, and I'm joined here today by Bowser.
How's it going, everyone? I'm really excited about this tournament. I've been a very occupied individual the past few weeks, and so I'm really looking forward to some Splatoon action. And we have some pretty wonderful teams coming in today with Hook, Line, and Sinker versus Overtime, although I think I said that in the wrong order for all of you. A lot of names here that I'm at least familiar with, which is nice. It means I've been here long enough that I can start recognizing names. And we have the maps and everything for you all today, so it's going to be exciting. Our first match, if you missed it, is going to be, oh man, I'm on the wrong part of the document. Splat Zones on Hagglefish Market, which all of you should know is one of my favorites. Cheddar, how you feeling about this one?
I'm very excited. I have also been pretty occupied. I have not played enough of the game to form opinions on the maps yet, which is kind of funny. But, we'll be starting off with good old splat zones, which is something that everybody should like. So I don't think we can go wrong with this one. And like you said, we'll be starting off with a best of 3, and then we'll go into best of 5 for the rest of this double elimination pool.
Yeah, and I think Zones is also my favorite mode for seeing how teams interact. It's sort of the I feel like it's one of the most neutral. Like, you get to really see, like, players get to put like show off what they're made of here. I feel like on other modes and maps you get more specific strategies, but something about Hagglefish Splat Zones is just a nice good old throwdown, and I love that.
Yeah, I mean, zones, like you said, one of those, it's just kind of the mode where these teams get to feel each other out. They really get to, like you said, see how they interact with one another. Especially since both these teams, they have more than the 4 rosters, so we'll be seeing who they decide to bring out onto the field for this first match.
Yeah, both teams have extra players in the pockets if they need them, which I find really interesting. I'm so used to in the esports space for teams to have, just enough players. But Splatoon, I always seem to see lots of extra players, a lot of people who are ready to compete. Weapon specialists, of course. I love it. I really love when a team just goes like, yeah, we're gonna swap in our bamboozler player, and you just get some player like, what? Like, and they do something nuts. You're like, oh, that's why they have them in the pocket. So it's always a good time. I'm such a fan of splat zones. I was told that there's I don't want to get this wrong, but there was like splat zone only tournaments that happen in Japan. I love the idea of like a splat zones only tournament just because I find it to be such a fascinating mode. Like, I could watch it all day.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, I used to think that Flathead was kind of dull, probably just because it was, the end of the Splatoon 2 meta and everybody was just zones. We counter-picked tower control and then immediately back to zones. But, now that we have a new game, a new meta, new play styles, it becomes fresh and new, and it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it's so funny you say that. I came in at the end of Splatoon as a commentator, and for Splatoon 2 rather, and it's so I see why everyone was so upset with the Splatoon 2 meta, and then we come to Splatoon 3, and it's just been, I have not been frustrated a single day with this game's meta. It's fun to watch. I find the meta's fun to play. The weapon diversity is pretty fun. There's a lot of very interesting weapons that you get to see get used at competitive levels. It's just, I couldn't be happier with the landscape of the competitive scene, at least as a commentator.
Yeah, I mean, we get a show, we get interesting things to watch instead of the same 4 weapons being thrown at each other over and over again. But I guess that, that happens when you have a game kind of wrapping up in anticipation for the next game. So transition from 2 to 3 was really nice, and now we're here with a nicely developing meta and some great maps to look forward to.
Yeah, and also just as like a fan of Splatoon, the content that's been rolling out is great. Like, we're getting new maps, we get adjustments, the new weapons are really, really fun. It's just, we're in for a treat. Like, if this is only our first big update, right? Like, there's so much to look forward to. Splatoon 3 is in such an exciting place. I have a feeling no matter where my career's taking me, I'm always going to be coming back to Splatoon just because from the community to the content, like, there's just so much to love here.
Yeah, and absolutely. You mentioned our teams earlier, and we have both of these teams. Like you said, I recognize them as well. Especially, specific names. We've got Elemental, we've got Myron on Overtime, and then Hook, Line, and Sinker, of course, beloved team. We see them around LSL. They've just been around the community, and so you see these teams that we know and that we love, and now we get to see them interact with each other on cool maps, cool weapons. Everything's set to be a great show.
That was one of the biggest things too from Splatoon 2 to 3 was because the game became more aggressive, watching top teams, like they're still top teams, right? Don't get
Yeah.
me wrong, but watching them adjust, I can't say for what yet, but I got to interview Prochara
Ooh.
for a thing, and it was really interesting just hearing about like the methodology behind practicing and sort of like the adjustment and the perspective. Splatoon 3 changed so much. Top teams are still top teams though, but the way teams had to like adapt and find solutions to aggressive play versus a bit more campy special play, right? Like where you have to bait out the armor and you could stingray across the map and try to take out two people if you can. Like to see that to all these aggressive weapons and everything has just been a treat. And I watch a lot of esports. Like I watch a lot of Apex Legends. I watch a lot of Valorant, and I'm always coming back to Splatoon and going like, wow, this game is fast. Like you see like competitive Overwatch, it's a fast game. It's still not as fast as Splatoon, and
Yeah.
it always keeps me on the edge of my seat.
Yeah, something with Splatoon is just like, matches are short, it's a 4v4, and that way there's always something going on, but just the way this game is played, there's always not only team fights, but also isolated fights, 1v1s, 1v2s, 2v3s going on all the way across the map, so you always have something to look at, whereas, other games, as Overwatch, I mean, I tried to get into casting that, and you have the very specific team fight, and then everybody goes back in, and then team fight, so I just love this game for the constant amount of action that is happening.
Yeah, there's that like I was working with my co-commentator for Overwatch, and I was telling him that like it's so much fun to do Splatoon because there's no downtime. There's almost never a moment you can breathe in these matches, usually hoping that players just don't engage on each other. But in we go. Game number 1. Let's see what we got for compositions right now.
Well, we have the Octobrush coming out, as well as that is a Dynamo Roller too, so we're going to see a lot of ink come
Ooh.
out of Hook, Line, and Sinker there, and then we have, of course, our, we got the E-Leader coming out, Splash, of course, from Double Splash, I was not necessarily, I mean, I was going to say we expect a Splash, I don't know if we expected 2 of them, but that's definitely a fair choice here.
Yeah, that's, I guess, Crab Tank meta at its finest. And then speaking of, here comes the first Crab Tank. And we were making bets earlier. It's the Charger play Charger. To see the Dynamo Roller is the mix-up I wanted. Unfortunately, getting blasted by, you guessed it, Crab Tank. Putting in a lot of work right now. That's actually overtime is going to take a commanding lead over this mid-platform. Crab Tank's putting in a lot of work there.
Yeah, I think we saw both of them for a second there. Just the crossfire quite literally on the zone, almost unavoidable. And now, like you said, Overtime's got a nice hold over this zone. They do go 1 down, fortunately, but that is also 2 down on Hook, Line, and Sinker. You can see the Dynamo there doing their best to put all the ink that they can on this zone, but they can't do much without anything to follow up the vertical flicks. So zone will get neutralized. Crab Tank coming out helps to take back that zone for Hook, Line, and Sinker as well. They just need to fight to maintain control of mid, especially since Overtime still has a quite commanding presence here.
And Overtime, the retake of the point right here has been kind of incredible. They were pressured by Crab Tank, they backed off. It was really good from Charger to control the point and just use Dynamo's range to say, hey, stop it. But, I mean, they took it back immediately.
Yeah, I mean, just that the very quick flip of the zone, and they are just continuing to maintain their presence. They are really not going down even when they lose the zone quickly. There we got another pop of the Crab Tank there. All of the members of Hook, Line, and Sinker are advancing onto this zone, slowly trying to take back control of mid. We have the Zipcaster coming out from the Octobrush as well, but unfortunately they do get taken down. I think that was by the leader as well, and with the triple Ink Strike coming back in that zone, just going again, immediately flipped to Overtime. There's just no room to breathe for Hook, Line, and Sinker here.
Yeah, and not only is there no time to breathe, the retake is so fast. I love the Octobrush play there. There's the wipeout. That's hard to recover from. You have some penalty. You could definitely make another push here, but just the Octobrush play was good, right? I wanted to see the Zipcaster get in there and break the line because I think that's exactly what Hook, Line, and Sinker needed. But
yes,
now they're pushed back into their own spawn. Like this is a brutal situation to get out of. And there goes down Vocal. It's 1-for-1 for both teams right now. Can we get anything? Hook, Line, and Sinker. Someone just tried charging in there with a junior. That's not going to work out.
Yeah, the Crab Tank coming out as well, but unfortunately the Junior going down just a little bit too early. The Dynamo's out as well. All of his ink is getting put onto the zone, but unfortunately it's just not quite enough to neutralize, and we're going to see our first game to go to a KO for Overtime.
Wow, that was incredible stuff from Overtime. Hook, Line, and Sinker, I mean, it started off a pretty traditional duel here at Hagglefish. But I think I said the word retake, and I've talked about Valorant and Splatoon a few times. But the idea of retaking an objective, going, okay, let them have it. We're going to set up to go back in and just take it back over, is a strategy that can be a little hard to come back from, because you might be able to get the zone, but if you can't like really set up shop and hold things down, that's sort of the situation you get put into. And I think the special use was just on point. You mentioned it, that ink strike, just they got the point, the ink strikes came down, and now you're pushed all the way back, your team's dying, you have to regroup, and everyone's splatted, and then you all come back up, and now you have the hardest push of your life to go into. I mean, they played that perfectly. Overtime did super well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think Overtime was almost just kind of biding their time there, retaking it, and then they once they got the wipeout, you can see they immediately surged forward and got that lockout, which is, well, exactly what you want to do in splat zones.
Yeah, if you can control the zone, it's the fastest. It's one of the fastest modes in the game. Realistically, right? Like if you just hold, it's just a quick little timer before it's over. Rainmaker, I would say, used to be faster, but Rainmaker slowed down, thankfully. But Rainmaker's
Thank
not.
God
Yeah,
for that, yeah.
yeah. Rainmaker though, that's our third map. Right now we have Clan Blitz on Inkblot Art Academy. I think I've commentated Clan Blitz here once. I don't think I've ever played it, and I'm trying to remember where the basket is off the top of my head right now, which tells you I haven't been here enough.
Yeah, I mean, I know this Splatoon 2 Inkblot Art Academy inside and out, Clan Blitz. I mean, I've been there more times than I can count, but I have not been here in 3 enough to know the differences. Like, I don't know if that little step that you can throw clams from still exists or not. We'll just have to find out.
I think it is there.
Well, if it is there, then we'll hopefully see it come into use again. Now that these teams kind of know each other for a little bit this first map, of course, Clan Blitz, one of those modes where it's noticeably different from how all the other ones play. You know, you don't have a focused objective point. Everything's kind of all around, then you all kind of collapse onto the basket. But we'll see if these teams have any changes in their compositions to reflect that.
Let's see. Still an E leader, which is interesting. I see a lot of players change to the standard splat charger. And we have a wiper coming in. Excited to see that weapon coming out. And of course, the dynamo's coming back. Good. You know, honestly, don't change anything. Show us what you can do with that dynamo. I want to see a Zipcaster play. I want to see some dynamo love. Listen, I'm here for the off meta.
Yeah, I want to see that hammer do some things too from the wiper as well. And of course, no change from that double slash composition. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, which is definitely fair. Wiper is the first to go down here on the side, does get cut out, unfortunately, and you can see now we have Overtime just biding their time, just like before. They have a good amount of map control. Unfortunately, though, they do go 2 down. The leader going down as well. Crab Tanks coming out, and the Zipcaster play as well. Let's see what they're going to do with that.
Yeah, trying to find an opening here. Does get taken out, does get some information. Oh, and does not get punished for it immediately, but someone was at least there to try to clean it up. Great stuff from that splatter shot player. And there's a wipeout. Oh, no. That's your worst case scenario. I was going to say, I really like some of the split pressure that was happening there for a moment, but there goes down the barrier, and there's already so many points on the board right now for Overtime. Hook, line, and sinker is going to have to really get their stuff together.
Yeah, I mean, in Clan Blitz, you can have those fast pushes. I mean, that went from 100 to 57 in the blink of an eye before Hook, Line, and Sinker even had time to react. Now Overtime is 2 down, and they're trying to get back into mid, trying to regroup so they don't lose their entire presence, which is still very important. They still have this presence in mid. Hook, Line, and Sinker is going to pull out the Crab Tank, try and get back more. And oh, there's a little ramp there, so there's no more step. There's actually a whole ramp leading up to the Clan Basket. Now I know, but with Overtime still somehow being able to hold on, even though they executed that push, but they did not give up their mid control for that, which is so important. And now we're back to this mid scuffle.
Yeah, and not giving up mid completely, right? Like returning to a neutral situation after losing that many players is the best, because sometimes you're stuck in your own base after a play like that. Oh goodness, this is a hard situation to get out of. But we have this movement though. One player does go down though. Volko does get a pickup. That's 2 on the side of Overtime. So now they're gonna be able to start their own push here. And oh yeah, no, that's just some Octobrush stuff there going in, but doesn't able to throw the clam. Oh no.
They still do get 1 power clam in, but the other one, unfortunately, like you said, does not go in. It doesn't look like they're going to be able to get the players up there. Oh, you can see the wiper tries to find the clam. It does get taken out in the process. So they're able to get that 1 in, get that points down to 80, but unfortunately, it could have been bigger. They could have gone down to 60, unfortunately, though the Dynamo did die just seconds before, just a second before they were able to throw the clam. And now you can see because they did get taken out, they did give up a little bit of their mid control, so they're gonna have to come back and try and get back that control. While overtime here, you can just see painting up mid, like, I mean, like, it's effortlessly pretty much.
Yeah, like they pay rent here. Like, oh, this is our place. Like, how dare you? And like, and right now, Hook, Line, and Sinker, they're trying to set up something here. I like that they have some specials they can use. One of them gets popped right now. Here comes a Stamper running at a Zuka player. Crabs going at each other right now. This is lovely. This is kind of chaos. I like to see. Wait, the White got the whole thing off. Wait, you got the whole stamp off. Time out. Yeah. Competitive match.
They did not get canceled, and they took out 2 specials with it. You saw they ran over the Zuka player, they ran over the crab tank. That right there is a stamp play for the ages. I haven't seen that happen in a really long time. So, well, with that very nice play, Hook, Line, and Sinker, though, unfortunately still doesn't have much turf control to speak of. You can see they're just kind of being washed here. The power clam does get created. The crab tank is popped now, but unfortunately the tank itself gets shredded and the player gets taken out. They have another power clam too, but it's all the way back at their base, and overtime wastes no time at all in just creating another one of these. And with the 2 down, it looks like they're just gonna go for another push right here, and it's probably going to be successful. Oh, maybe I might have. Oh, I spoke too soon, didn't I? That's Caster's Curse for you there. 2 down instead, and that power clam, in fact, does not go in. Hook, Line, and Sinker coming back just in time to take those players out.
The commentator's curse gets us all. I have murdered so many players and teams in my career so far. Trust me, it's totally fine. No, but that's great though. That's what Hook Line needs. They need an opening, and they've at least prevented an offense, so that grants them an opportunity. They lose 1 player, unfortunately. Oh, and it looks like there's not a lot of players on the left side of the map right now. Are they going to be able to push in? But overtime just is able to like push or sweep right back into their own base, take everyone out. And that was just an Octobrush player on a mission. Unfortunately, that mission gets taken out pretty quickly because 2v1s and 3v1s are pretty difficult. And there's only 10 seconds left. This is going to be really rough to come back from.
Yeah, I mean, we have the crab tank in mid there with the power clam, and the wiper does go down, unfortunately, so they're not going to be able to come back from that. I mean, like you said, they had that opening at the end, especially with preventing the push and getting those 2 picks, but I think you could see when they were going into mid, they were just a little bit isolated, unfortunately. Like, the Dynamo was in mid and unfortunately got pincered, and so they just weren't quite able to take advantage of that opportunity.
Yeah, and that was one thing I noticed, was that they kind of left their base open, and they full sent it on right side, but that just sort of let overtime flow right into them and put them in a terrible situation where there was no really good play. And then there was someone who was on the backside still, and someone was pushing up the ramp and got taken out by 3 people immediately. It's an unfortunate situation for your Hook, Line, and Sinker, but overtime sitting pretty though. Clean plays, good movement, good rotations, and map pressure that is just textbook. You love to see that. That was some very good stuff from them, so GG's to them. That was very, very good stuff.
Yeah, great set for them. And of course, remember that Hook, Line, and Sinker is not out because this is double elimination. So they'll be able to go into the losers bracket, might make a nice run there. And of course, all of our teams will head over to a bracket in day 2, no matter how they place in day 1. Just a very nice bonus of the Stormbreak format. Everybody gets playtime both day 1 and day 2. Well, because that was just a best of 3, that is going to do it for our first round. We're going to take a break of just a couple of minutes, and we'll be right back at you guys with some more round 2 action.
See you soon.